welcome to Nairobi News Extra. I hope you guys had a lovely week. I'm your host, Sylvania Ambani. Moving on to the most trending topics of the week, we start off with one story concerning a Kenyan family who left social media users in stitches after hawking their last-born bachelor son to potential female suitors. Now get this, the Mwaura family shared a poster of their handsome son, Gift Mirie Mwaura, after waiting for too long. The poster states, "We the Mwaura family offer our last-born son. The requirements include," this now concerns the ladies, "you must have been born with swag, know not more than 12 Kikuyu words, love meat more than life itself, acquire American accents when speaking to Americans, perennially be unbothered when running late, and spend 1 hour in the bathroom each day." Well, Nairobi News managed to get in touch with Gift and find out what was actually happening, and he confirmed that the poster was a prank by his twin brother. Apparently, he had done the same to him by posting a similar poster on a WhatsApp group they share in common, and his brother told him, "I will get back at you." Well, it seems that he got the bigger laugh by sharing it on a very wide platform like Facebook. We hope, Gift, your life has gone back to normal given the 1,001 text messages I know you are receiving right now and Facebook notifications. Moving on, Kenyans on Facebook are on a mission to look for a homeless man who handed over 200,000 shillings that fell out of the bag to the owner. Sure gives hope that we still have honest people in the country. According to the user who posted the man's story, he was on his way to deposit his business sales when 2 bundles of the money fell out of the bag. The homeless man has since been identified by online users as Vincent Omondi. What we know is, after Vincent returned the money to the owner went into the bank to deposit the money, but asked Vincent to wait for him. But when the guy came out, Vincent was nowhere to be seen. So, guys, if anyone sees Vincent, tell them we are looking for him. Further afield, it was a mass wedding with a difference in Uganda where 200 brides were joined in holy matrimony with their respective grooms. Now get this, that's not the interesting part. The Daily Monitor reported that instead of the usual practice of brides being driven in posh vehicles, the brides chose to be taken to the church in a truck. The theme of the ceremony was 77 Days of Glory. It took place at the Garden of Miracles Central Cathedral in Rubaga, located 1 kilometer away from the church premises. All couples were allowed to come along with the best man, matron, and 2 relatives. There was an anniversary cake for each couple. Brides in their gowns were sent to the venue, seated behind 5 decorated flatbed Mercedes-Benz trailer. How interesting is that? Be going to your wedding seated at the back of a truck? Did you know that donkey meat has been legalized and certified for human consumption in Kenya? I'm giving you time so that it can sink in well. The Meat Control Amendment Act 2012 documents donkey alongside horse as a food animal in Kenya. While butcheries have not been licensed to sell donkey meat, interested parties and owners of abattoirs can seek licenses at the relevant veterinary offices to slaughter and sell the meat outside the country. Is there any space in the vegetarian world? Because I'm moving over right now. There's something interesting happening in Spain. The Spanish government has appointed a minister of sex in order to boost the nation's declining population. Prime Minister Mariano Rajoy confirmed Edelmira Barrera as the country's top sex official. With this move, the government hopes to boost Spain's failing birth rate, which is one of the lowest in the developed world. If we were to create a special ministry for a special cabinet secretary here in Kenya, what title would we give him? Maybe the Minister for Deadbeat Fathers? Don't forget to like, share, and follow Nairobi News for this and more interesting stories, and subscribe to our Nairobi News YouTube channel, and log on to our website www.nairobinews.co.ke. Our guest today on the show is the CEO of the Kenya Alliance of Resident Association, KARA, Mr. Henry Ochieng. He talks to us about the new neighborhood laws and the role and function of CARA. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
Tell us, what is CARA?
CARA is, as the name suggests, is the Kenya Alliance of Resident Associations. And it's basically an umbrella body of neighborhood organizations that have come together to form a vehicle through which to engage with the government and other service providers. So we are a membership organization, members across the country, and our members are primarily the resident associations. Of course, you have other categories of membership like the corporates and individual members, but our main focus and interest is really on the resident associations. And why we we are keen on resident associations, because we have realized as CARA and as Kenyans that for you to be able to address service delivery challenges at the neighborhood level, you have to be organized. And the best way to be organized is to sit down as neighbors and establish a framework of engagement. And that is what we are calling the resident associations. We've been around for the last 17 years as CARA, and we facilitated formation of this kind of groupings, the resident associations, with the goal of establishing and enhancing better provision of services. So we talk about accountability, we are talking about public participation, and I talk about people taking charge of their neighborhood in terms of environment, security, and many other aspects. And if you look around in areas or neighborhoods or estates where people have resident associations, you'll find that there's some high level of organization and high level of better service provision, because people are basically in charge of how their neighborhood should look like, and they are able to decide what to do and what not to do within a particular neighborhood.
Recently, we've seen the rise of small entertainment joints coming up in even in residential areas.
Yes.
Even a recent incident includes one that residents of a particular estate actually marched and demanded the revelers to finish their drinks and go out.
Yes.
So how does CARA help such a situation?
You know, ideally, we should have a situation where within a residential area, we don't have bars or churches that are going to interfere with the peace of people who live there. But what has been happening increasingly is that even the county government and other government agencies have been changing the zoning requirement of particular areas, so that instead of a neighborhood becoming residential, you find it being changed to mixed user. Mixed user means now you can have a residential area there and even commercial activities. It is not right to have a bar, for instance, within an estate. And it is also not right to provide licenses for those kind of activities, because one, it compromises the peace of the area, and then number two, there's also the issue about morality of the children who are growing up, seeing people walking into the bar and doing all sorts of things. But it has been happening. So what needs to happen, and what we've been pushing for as CARA, is for enforcement of regulations that require that these particular ventures or bars operate within specific regulations. They are actually supposed to have what we call, they're called what? The soundproof, so to speak, if they're in a particular area, maybe residential, soundproof, so that whatever noise emanates from there does not really get out. But ideally, they should be within a certain distance that does not interfere with the peace of people who live there. So it's been a sad situation, and you've seen many of neighborhood having that kind of issue. But as CARA, we are now currently working with the county governments to ensure that the noise pollution regulation is enforced to the latter, and where there's a particular entity or a particular venture that is breaching the peace of a particular area, then that license, we always demand for it to be withdrawn and for that business to be stopped.
Nairobi as a cosmopolitan city, what are some of the challenges being brought up by residents?
One of the biggest challenge right now, and which we are also seeking to address, is lack of proper engagement of the resident in decision making. You know, the number of things that happen at the government level, and people are not feeling like they're being properly involved before any decision is taken. We have public participation in the Constitution, we have it in a number of legislation, but the threshold of that public participation is still not being met by a number of government agencies. So there's lack of proper public participation and lack of involvement, and this leads to the problem that we are seeing, that people are coming up with activities or structures that do not even meet the basic requirement of the law. So that's one big problem. But in terms of specific service delivery issues, one of the greatest challenge, especially in residential area, is what we call uncontrolled development. This means that in an estate where people have invested maybe their lifetime savings and all that, it's supposed to have a certain character in terms of even the structures that are coming up in that particular estate. But what we are seeing increasingly is that you get that people are coming up and putting up structures that do not conform to the zoning of that particular area. So that a place supposed to have maybe bungalows or maishonettes, and then somebody come and put up a tall skyscraper, so to speak. That compromise issues about security, compromise infrastructure usage, it does many things. And this is being done because we don't have proper enforcement of planning laws and regulations. So that is one area that our members are really grappling with and trying to see to it that we have mechanism of preventing those kind of things. The other thing, of course, is the environmental issues, management of solid waste, where garbage is not being collected properly, and people are being forced to outsource to private garbage collectors, so to speak, and yet they're also still paying taxes to the county government. So the issue of managing solid waste is also a big challenge.
Leave alone these gated communities or gated estates. Let's talk about someone who lives in Kibera and you see the kind of situation that is surrounding them. How does that person know about Kara and how can Kara help them?
I can assure you that even in that particular level, people already organize themselves. And we have members there, we have people we work with. So even them, they've already understood that you cannot make any movement if you don't have a vehicle to make you make that movement. And the vehicle is organizing yourself. For them, they can call it auto because maybe resident association sounds a bit elitist, or so to speak. They can call it community-based organization or welfare organization, but the structures are there, and we are working with them. And we are training them and showing them how to engage with the government and address their issues, their service delivery issues. Of course, the issues could be different, because for somebody living in Kilelesha, for instance, their interest is different from the interest of somebody living in Kibera. So what we do is that we understand their immediate interest and connect them to the people who are supposed to address those kind of issues, people in government, and also give them empowerment to make them understand that at the end of the day, much as they're living in the informal settlements, they still have a responsibility to ensure that they are able to access services and they're able to live in a condition that is dignified, so to speak.
What constitutes a safe environment, a living safe environment? What are the aspects in terms of these residents?
What is important in that kind of scenario is, first of all, you must have what you call sustainable environmental surrounding. And by that, I mean that you must have proper waste management, you must have proper environmental practices within the estate, and by that I mean people taking responsibility of their environment, not littering around and all that. Number two, you must have security, proper security in a residential area, because there's nothing much you can do without security, and that is very key for any livable area or a place that you want people to live in dignity. Number three, you must have access to basic services, and these include water, include electricity, sewerage system. You must have access to those services and have them in adequate manner, so that you don't have an estate where people can take 2 months without even a single drop of water in the taps, and don't have an estate where we don't have a sewerage system that meet the expectations and demands of those particular areas. So that's very very key. And you must have accessibility to the area, and this refers to roads and footpaths. You must have roads that are usable, and people can be able to access basic amenities like hospitals, schools, and move around to go about their businesses.
And finally, where can someone get Kara?
We have our offices in Nairobi. We are based in Jamhuri Crescent, just off Cabernet Road, on the way to Kibera. That's Cabernet Road, so just a branch off to Jamhuri Crescent. That's where we have our offices. We have our contacts, which we can share. Somebody can call us on 0725-983-445. That's our line, or send an email to info@kara.or.ke. We also have our networks and structures in different parts of the country. So if you are in Kisumu or Mombasa, just get in touch with us and be able to direct you where you can get information about Kara and who are our contact people in those particular areas.